This is an interesting boat. This is what Princess were building back in the 80s. This is the late 80s Princess 414. The interesting thing about this particular boat is it's had a pretty major refit in 2016, which has brought it quite a lot more up to date. But it's really interesting to step back in time, especially for me actually, because when I started selling boats back in the late 80s, of course, this was the kind of stuff that we were dealing in. So it's a real step back in time stuff. But it's very much a traditional Princess of the era. It's shaft drive. You can see those underneath here. So you've just got the conventional shaft coming out, P-bracket, propeller on the back of that, and then your rudders. So really simple. These were actually John Bennett designed. All the current Princesses are designed by Bernard Olazinski, but these were designed by John Bennett, who designed all the Princesses up until the late 80s. So it is one of the last ones of those. It's still a nice looking boat actually, I think. Aft cabin layout, actually quite unusual for Princess even then. I think this was the only aft cabin boat in the range, but it does mean you get a tremendous amount of accommodation in it, which I'll show you in just a moment. Now, of course, being late 80s, you can see how small the bathing platform is compared to modern boats, because the tender on these sat on these davits. So what you would do is literally just hook these, one onto the bow of your tender and one onto the stern, or not quite the stern, but sort of, you know, just in slightly from it, and you'd winch them up and they'd go underneath here. These extend out, and that is what would position your tender. You actually winch them up manually with these fellas here. We're going to step on here onto the aft deck. One of the things that happened during the refit was this composite teak decking. This is like sort of what you might call fake teak, which is great because it's super low maintenance. And because we are on the aft deck, it's an aft cabin boat, you're not in a cockpit, you're on top. So much more of a deck sort of situation, which means you're very close to the flybridge. It's literally just 3 steps up and your flybridge is here. We've got the cover on at the moment, but you can see what you've got here, which is basically your seat across there, another seat here, and there's a helm position. If I tuck my head right up underneath, you can see the steering wheel there covered over. So you have got that upper helm position, but as I say, being an aft deck, aft cabin boat, that links very nicely with this area here. So if people are sat here, you can still chat, they're not at a completely separate level. Let's take a walk around the deck first of all actually, and then we'll head on inside. So if we go up here, you can see that that composite decking goes all the way around the whole boat. Again, very much of the era, the fact that you have these stainless steel wire rails here rather than the more modern Princess. There's one there where you have the solid stainless steel. You can see how these evolve. This one's got a life raft up on the bow, and if we come right up here, electric anchor winch, and that's how she looks from here. What's interesting about these actually is I think now that this era of boat, rather than just being old-fashioned as it was for a while, is now pretty much a classic, isn't it? I mean, it is, where are we? Late 80s, late 90s, 10, 2000s is 20, 30, yeah, 35 years old, something like that. Anyway, let's head on inside because you can see a lot more of the refit work in here. So there's a sliding door here. This just obviously just slides across like so. There we go. And if we head down here, there's a few steps down, bring us into the saloon area. Now here you can see what's been done. So all of these linings up here have all been renewed. All of this seating around here, all the upholstery has been renewed. It's got new carpets in it. It's really lifted the whole boat. But look how much space is in here. So you've got this big saloon area here. There's storage opposite. There's been a wine cooler fitted down there as well. These are just bits of storage and drawers and so on. Interesting, it's got a safe in this one as well. It's quite a nice thing to have. Drawers here and so forth. TV here as well, as you can see, and then the helm position is a couple of steps up just here. So you've got the double helm, and then you can see the engine controls are over here. It's got the upgraded chart plotters. Certainly wouldn't have had one of those back in the late 80s because they simply didn't exist. And then you can see the traditional engine instrumentation that used to fit back then. They used to have these big pods that went in with the keys and all the gauges in. Ballast thruster on this one as well, as you can see. And then up above you've got the VHF radio. There is autopilot here, and depth and speed and so on. And then that's the view out from here. But then if we step forward again, we can drop down to the lower deck. And this is nice because it just feels so open. As you come down here, there's another, this is a dinette area here. So that's really, if you imagine that's your lounge and that's your dining room, that's more or less the sort of setup we've got here. I think I'm right in saying you can convert this into more sleeping as well. I think you can make that into a double bed. Certainly that's height adjustable. It's old school height adjustable. Look at that. That's the original mechanism they used to fit back in the day. And this of course also expands out. You can see how these lift up to give you a much bigger dining area. So that's the lower dinette, and if I spin around then you'll see we've got the galley area here as well. It's had the new hob put in, the new fridge. So again, all the bits that sort of, you know, get very old fashioned and dated, they've all been renewed. Cooker up there as well. And these original Princess catches, this brings back so many memories. Fantastic. More storage in there. So that is the lower deck here. If we go forward again, this one takes us through to the day heads. You'll see there's another door there, and that's because that's also en suite to the forward cabin. This is pretty much as it was, except for the fact that it's had a new sink put in and a new tap. Again, those wouldn't be original Princess. They've changed quite a bit. Toilet there as well, and then you've got a shower in here too. So that is up there. There we go. So if we close that one over, you can head on forward, and then this is the forward cabin. So what you've got here, as you can see, is V-berths. So you've got, obviously, your feet go at that end and then your head at each end. Quite a bit of storage in here as well. So there's a little hanging locker there, like so. And then these storage areas here, here, and here. Got little reading lights as well. So new lights put in here. And that is the door back into that head that we just saw a moment ago. And a hatch up ahead as well. Excellent. More drawers then down in the centre. So that is the forward cabin. We're right up to the front of the boat now. If we look back here, you can see where we've come through the dinette and the galley. We can come back through here, back up these steps, main saloon, and that's where we came in. But because it's an aft cabin boat, what we can do with this now is, instead of going up there, we can go down these steps here, and this takes us into the aft cabin. So in here, this is the owner's cabin, of course. It is the full beam of the boat. You can see there's windows here, down here, and here. So you're right across the whole boat. And that means you get things like a ton of storage everywhere, all the way around here. Nice big bed in the centre, nice and low as well. Does feel like a proper bedroom. There's a hatch up above, so you've got ventilation there or another way out. And then the other thing they've done in here is they split off the shower and the toilet. So if we look in here, that is just a shower area. Okay, you can see that up there. I'm curious as to what's in here. I guess that's just a bit of storage. Yeah, just a bit of extra storage space they've fitted in there. But if we head on to the other side, that then is your toilet, completely separate. And again, they've put in the new sink and the new taps and so on. Like so. It's intriguing, isn't it? More hanging lockers then in the bulkhead here. So that's going back underneath like so. And we've got the same deal over on this side. And that's about it, except for engines. They are under the floor. Now you can get the carpet up and get hatches up and get access down, which is sort of the best way to do it. But just to give you guys a quick look, we're just going to lift this step here. There we go. I did look for some engine room lights. And we're a bit out of luck, unfortunately. So I don't know how we're going to see these. We need a torch, don't we? Hang on. There we go, that's a little bit better. So these are a pair of Volvo Penta TAMD 60Cs. They're 255 horsepower each. And when the refit was done, these were taken out and taken back to a Volvo dealer to be reconditioned. They're giving the boat about 24 knots flat out apparently, and cruising I'm told is about 18 knots, and I'm going to guess the range probably about 250 is typical for this sort of boat. But as I say, you can get the hatches up in the saloon if you've got a bit more time, and that clearly makes life a lot more easy in terms of getting to them. But this is just a great way to give you guys a quick look. You can see the shafts there at the back coming out. That is what we saw on the outside of the boat. So it's a very simple engineering. You've just got the shafts running out from the gearboxes and then through and out to the propellers underneath. So there we go. Let's drop that one back down. And I am going to head back up through the boat. I think we're going to finish up at this comfy dinette up at the front here. So that's it. That's what Princess were building back in the 80s. It's a fascinating boat to have a look at, and it's a really interesting one as well, because obviously, being the age it is, it does give you a huge amount of boat for the money. Huge thanks to Global Yacht Brokers for organising that tour. Let me know what you think of that one, and we look forward to catching you on another one of these real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.